I'm always intimidated by Josh's recipes because they seem too complicated, but I feel like most of you here are just to see me struggle, so here we go.
Here's a little refresher on how I make this Hokkaido-style burger bun.
My first viral video was making Joshua's burger buns, and since then my cooking skills have improved so much, so I promise you this time I'll make no mistakes.
It's very easy. In a small saucepan, add 2 tablespoons or 18 grams of all-purpose flour.
In a small saucepan, add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour,
Whisk in a quarter cup or 60 milliliters of whole milk,
a quarter cup of whole milk,
and 2 tablespoons or 30 milliliters of water.
and 2 tablespoons of water.
Whisk that till smooth, put that on the stove over medium heat,
Whisk the flour and liquid till smooth and then move to the stove on medium heat,
and let that cook while stirring occasionally until it thickens.
stirring occasionally till it thickens. So this is probably not thick enough.
Which literally only takes like 30 to 60 seconds.
It only takes 30 to 60 seconds, which is still more than my usual. So I got distracted by my coffee machine for 30 seconds and this is what I came back to. Do you guys think this is enough?
Then just scoop your goop and place it to the side.
I think my goop is ready to stabilize bricks, so we're gonna have to do another one. Kinda reminds me of home because this is what my mom's oatmeal looks like.
You fucked up.
Alright, our second attempt is much more successful. I used medium-low heat instead of high heat. Now we'll scoop our goop into a container and set it to the side.
In a container, add half a cup or 120 milliliters of whole milk,
In a container, add half a cup of whole milk,
and half a cup plus 2 tablespoons of water.
half a cup of water,
Heat that so it's about 95 degrees Fahrenheit,
accidentally overheated to 100
or
Fahrenheit,
21 grams of granulated sugar,
9 plus 10 grams of cane sugar,
2.5 teaspoons or 8 grams of instant yeast,
8 grams of instant yeast.
and let that sit until it gets nice and frothy.
Let it sit till it looks like it's made by a tattooed barista.
Now, snag a stand mixer.
Our war against machine is still going on. This is a score in case you forgot.
In the bowl, add 3.5 cups or 525 grams of bread flour.
In the bowl, add 525 grams of bread flour.
Turn your mixer on to medium-low.
Whisk the fork on medium-low.
Add all of your yeasty milky froth.
Add all of my yeasty milky crotch.
Tangzong, which now looks like a weird gelatinous hockey puck.
I've seen a lot of bread recipes on the internet and everybody seemed to love this tanzhong paste, so I did some research and here's what I found. Tanzhong is a cooked flour and liquid mixture that's used in Chinese and Japanese baking. This pre-gelatinization process changes the structure of the starch molecules of the bread, making them more resistant to breaking down during baking. This results in a softer, more tender, and sort of stretchy bread. This paste also helps to improve the shelf life of bread by preventing them from drying out, as well as adding a little bit of that sweet flavor. Plus, you guys already know I love to play with white, slimy, gelatinous
1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk.
1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk.
Let that mix for about 2 to 3 minutes or until it begins to form a smooth dough.
Mix it about 2 to 3 minutes till it becomes a smooth dough. Took me about a little more than 10 minutes and this is as smooth as I can get it to be.
Then add 3 tablespoons unsalted butter.
Then add 3 tablespoons unsalted butter.
1 tablespoon at a time. Let that mix until the dough is a smooth ball.
This is the most annoying and messy part of making a brioche bun, especially since I forgot to let the butter come to room temperature, but this is my method to fix it. So you just keep squeezing and melting it with your hand till it reaches room temperature. And I call this method the finger butter.
Yeah! Plop that dough out of the stand mixer, roll it into a light ball, and place it in a greased bowl. Cover with plastic wrap.
After a long time of kneading the butter, the dough becomes nice and smooth like this. The reason why it looks like a days-old roadkill is because the butter hasn't been incorporated into the dough fully. The only way to solve it is just to continue rubbing the butter into the dough. It looks like I still have to rub it for about 20 minutes, so I'm just gonna go rub it on the couch. Be careful though, because it might get a little messy. Once it's no longer separating, we can move on to the next step.
And let it rise at room temp for 1 hour or until fatty and doubled.
We'll put it in a greased bowl, cover it, and let it rest for about 30 minutes.
Now, love your little dough man, respect him, and then release him from this world from whence he came.
Love my little dough man, respect him, and release him because he came.
Be sure to degas it nicely and place your dough onto an unfloured counter.
Making sure our dough is degassed nicely.
I degassed about 3 minutes ago.
Divide it into 8 to 9 equal pieces depending on how big you want them.
I prefer eating big buns, so I'm gonna divide it into 8 pieces.
Roll each piece of dough into a nice doit ball and place those all evenly spaced apart on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper.
So to roll it into a nice doit ball, we want to tug in all the sides first, flip it over, and pull it back while keeping constant contact with the work surface. We're just trying to create some tension on the surface to keep it nice and smooth.
Cover those with another inverted rim baking sheet and let that proof at room temp for 30 minutes.
Once all 8 pieces of dough is rolled out, we'll put it on a parchment paper on a baking sheet and cover with plastic wrap, letting them rest on my kitchen counter for about 30 minutes.
Then just brush each of your buns with egg wash, which is literally just one beaten egg with a splash of water.
When they're all puffy like this, we're gonna brush it with some egg wash, which is just an beaten egg.
Then just give all of those a beautiful sprinkle with sesame seeds.
Now we'll give all of those a beautiful sprinkle of sesame seeds.
Anyway, bake those at 375 Fahrenheit with convection ideally for 17 minutes or until deep golden brown and gorgeous.
Now we'll bake them at 375 for 17 minutes.
Now pull those puppies out and immediately brush them with melted butter and let them cool on a wire rack completely.
Now we'll pull those puppies out. I think they're already pretty shiny, so I'm gonna skip on the butter. I'm surprised at how big and round they are. Rumor has it the Kardashians used this recipe to prepare for the Met Gala.
Now let's talk sauce. Not just any sauce, our more exciting Big Mac sauce. Start off with half a cup or 120 grams of mayonnaise.
Starting with 1/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. I just ran out of regular mayo, so I'm gonna use some I Give a Second Chance to Kewpie mayo.
3 tablespoons or 42 grams of ketchup. Look, technically they don't use ketchup in theirs from what I understand, but I don't care and this makes it significantly better in my opinion.
I've never cared about the Big Mac sauce, so I'll add as much ketchup as Papa says.
3 tablespoons or 42 grams of yellow mustard.
3 tablespoons of yellow mustard.
1 finely diced bread and butter pickle, 3 tablespoons of brunoise, which is just an ultra fine dice of sweet onion.
I don't have pickles or onions, but I got these pickled onions, so I'm just gonna brunoise and use these instead. Look at me killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Nice job, team.
1/8 of a teaspoon of onion powder,
1/8 of a teaspoon of onion powder,
1 clove of grated garlic,
1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder,
season that bad boy to taste with salt and pepper,
1/8 of a teaspoon of lemon juice,
give it some whiskey business,
giving whiskey business,
until thoroughly combined, and that's it.
until thoroughly combined and homogeneous, and that's it.
I mean, look at this stuff. I'd like to jump off and take a little bath in this.
Look at this stuff. I'd like to jump off.
We're almost there. Let's just get our toppings put together. Snag some iceberg lettuce. You only need half a head.
Now we'll take half a head of crispy water.
Shave that nice and thin so you get little iceberg ribbons.
Shave it nice and thin so we have crispy water strips.
Place it into a bowl along with optionally a small handful of fresh Italian parsley that's been finely chopped.
Place it in a bowl and choose the option of not putting any parsley in it.
In the zest from 1 lemon.
And the zest of 1 lemon.
I like to add the urban zest just to give it a little bit of freshness. The ocean breeze in Papa's mouth.
I like to skip on the herbs but not the zest because I like it zesty in my mouth.
Now toss all that together and that's your lettuce component.
Toss it together and that's it. But in all seriousness, Josh's technique of adding lemon zest and lettuce has changed my life. It adds a lot of freshness.
If you want onion, please slice that beauty super duper razor thin.
So we'll slice an onion razor thin. These black spots on the onion kind of looks like my teeth. Is this safe to consume?
But most importantly, give them a nice rinse under cold water after slicing.
We'll rinse the onion slices in cold water right after this time lapse. I see people doing this at restaurants a lot. They also soak spring onions. I wonder what does it do?
This will help reduce some of their bite and any bitterness and leave a fragrant, delicious, and sweet onion flavor.
Soaking in cold water made the onions significantly stiffer and bigger, which is a quality I don't have.
Okay, it's assembly time. First thing, get 2 buns. Of those, you're gonna cut one of them in half, and then the other, you're going to cut just a round slice.
We'll start our assembly with 2 buns. The first one will cut it in half, and the second one will only cut out the middle.
So you get that 3-tier effect.
Like many other things, adding a third will definitely make it more interesting.
You know the procedure. Toast your buns in butter in a pan, kind of like your grilled cheese, until roasty toasty and lovely on all cut sides.
We'll melt some butter in the pan and toast all sides of the bun till it's golden like this.
For the burger patty, I'd recommend fattier ground beef. I prefer something sub 80% lean, personally.
I'm gonna use 85% lean because that's the only thing I have.
And this is why grinding your own is always going to win.
But I thought that is just about flexing.
It's not just about flexing. Okay, sometimes it's about flexing.
I knew it!
Anyway, you'll need 2 pounds. Separate that into 8 evenly sized balls.
I have about a pound and a half, and I'm gonna make some 6-ounce balls.
Get a pan that's been lightly greased with oil. Get it screaming hot over medium-high heat.
Lightly grease the surface of the pan and get it screaming hot over medium-high heat.
Then place a ball into the center. You should immediately hear sizzle.
When you place it on the pan, it should sound like this.
Press it down using the back of the spoon so it's nice and flat.
Press it down using a saucepan so it's nice and flat.
Now season that generously with salt and pepper and let that sear for 1 to 2 minutes or until a rich, crisp brown.
We'll season generously and let them sear for 2 minutes till it reaches a rich, crisp brown.
Flip, and oh my lord, that burger sear has me on a one-way train to I'm about to bust town.
Oh my lord, this burger sear has me on a one-way train to... I might have some sort of skin infection town.
The moment you've all been waiting for. Da 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 da. Add a cheese slice of your choice to both the bottom bun and the middle bun.
I only have 1 slice of mozzarella left, so I'm gonna whip out the wheel of raclette. This thing's been stinking up my fridge for almost a month now. Every time I open my fridge, this atrocious smell just comes out. I already got used to the radioactive chicken smell, but this one is gonna take a while.
Give those a nice melt under the broiler or with a kitchen torch.
Give those a nice melt with a kitchen torch. Do you think these are burnt or perfectly melted? Let me know in the comments.
Now to the bottom bun, add your lettuce, followed by your sweet onion, a generous dollop or 2 of your sauce, your crisp fatty patty.
I usually only add meat to my bottom bun, but this time we're doing lettuce, onions, and some sauce.
Then to the middle bun, again, add your lettuce, your paper thin crisp sweet onion, more sauce, then your other burger patty.
So we'll repeat the same things we just did to the middle bun.
Add more sauce to the top of the patty. Yes, I want this big sauce.
Now I'm gonna add more sauce and more onions onto the top patty.
Then grab the top bun and you know what needs to be done. Crown your king. Now look at this drippy, absolute gentleman of a burger.
I don't know what it is, but my burger strangely resembles a car crash. So as this turns into the Leaning Tower of Pisa, we'll grab the top bun and crown our king. This is definitely the tallest burger I've ever made in my life. I'm gonna post it on Instagram to see what you guys think.
What's poppin'? Brand new whip, just hopped in. I got options. I can pass it like Stockton.
Whenever I start to feel good about myself, I just check Instagram to fix the problem. Now let's try it and rate it 1 through 10.
Baby.
As you can tell, I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out how to fit this in my mouth. I usually don't have that problem with meat. Half of my face is covered up with sauce. And to celebrate for 500,000 subscribers, I'll give you a money shot. I can already see the 2 categories of comments under this video. First being how Americans are fat because this is what they eat. And second is how Future Canoe likes to take down tall, big, thick, dark piles of meat. But overall, I think this recipe does taste better than a Big Mac. Obviously, the brioche bun is a killer as usual, and the sauce is acidic and fresh. But I have to say, it doesn't really taste like a Big Mac anymore. It just tastes like a gourmet burger. The best part about a Big Mac is the taste of the plastic cheese and the plastic beef. Without those, it kind of makes me feel like I'm making better decisions in life, which is uncomforting. I think Josh's recipe is a 10 out of 10, and my execution today will be an 8.5 out of 10. Alright, thank you.